Hey yo guys, welcome back to YouTube channel. Thank you so much for coming by. And hey, it's 2022 everybody. Hope you guys had a wonderful New Year's. Got to eat some pozole, some tamales, all that good stuff. The hot chocolate. But hey, I was thinking during the holiday season, people are buying their first camera, getting gifted their first camera, getting new gear. And I was thinking, let's help out those people, give them a little bit of tips on the newer gear. So here's the video for 5 tips for beginner photographers. Let's get it. Alright guys, so we're currently downtown. I came location scouting for some small projects I have in mind, but that goes for my first tip. Go location scouting more often. This sounds weird, but the reason for this is because the more you go location scouting, the more locations you start accumulating for your small projects. What I mean by that is there's times where you think of a project and you have no location in mind. By going location scouting, you have more options for where to shoot. For example, there's a car shoot that I wanted to do, but I couldn't think of a single place. But that's because I haven't been location scouting in a while, and I've been reusing the same locations over and over. And that's what it helps too. It helps you go away from locations that you've photographed a million times. So it helps you be more prepared for shoots, and it helps you creatively because you find more places to shoot at. So that's tip number 1. Alright guys, so my second tip is shoot in manual. Shooting in manual allows you to be more creative and in tune with your camera. It opens up the possibilities like light painting, panning shots, long exposures, and much more. The reason you're allowed to be more creative with your camera is because your camera allows you to change your ISO, change your shutter speed, and change your aperture. By doing these stuff, you start learning your camera a lot more. You become more in tune with it. And as a beginner, you want to start this sooner than later. Sooner because you start learning your camera faster, and by shooting in auto at first, you start relying on that too much. And by shooting in manual, you just learn it way quicker. Alright guys, it's the next day. I decided to shoot the rest of the video today because it was just a little too windy yesterday and I couldn't record without like a gust of wind hitting me mid speech. But for my third tip, I would say shoot in RAW compared to JPEG. Shooting in RAW allows more information to go into your photos, which helps a lot when it comes to editing and changing up the colors. Because when you edit a JPEG, there's only so much you can do until you start seeing random pixels in the top, and it just doesn't look professional at all. It just looks goofy. But when you edit a RAW, there's so much more you can do. You can push your colors a lot farther, you can push your exposure a lot farther. I'm not saying you're gonna go crazy with the colors, but there's more you can do with the RAW. For example, let's take a look at these photos here. They're very vibrant, the colors pop a lot, and there's a lot of information in them. And the reason for this was because by shooting in RAW, I was able to bring back the colors, boost them, and bring back shadows. And that was like the most important part for me, because when shooting at night, it's very hard to get the exposure and everything perfectly the first time, so you need a little help in post-processing. And by shooting in RAW, I was able to bring back so much without risking destroying the quality of the picture. Alright guys, for tip number 4, I have to say is stop comparing your pictures to other photographers. The reason I say this is because as a beginning photographer, you start to look for inspiration on Instagram from photographers that have been in this industry for a long time, and that's really good. Looking for inspiration is really good because you start noticing new things, but where it becomes a problem is when you start comparing your pictures to them. And this is a problem because you start believing that you're not a good photographer because your pictures aren't on par as theirs. You start thinking that you're not meant for this, but in reality, it's really not like that. You just need to develop those skills that those photographers have developed over years, and you just need to put in the work and the time into it. Alright guys, for the last tip of the video, and this is gonna sound very cheesy and simple, but literally just go out and shoot. There's only so much you can do by learning on Instagram, learning on YouTube, if you're not gonna go apply it in the real world. By going out and shooting all the time, you start developing your own style, you start developing the qualities that it is needed to become a better photographer, and bruh, shooting is fun. Just go out and do it. You still here? The video's over. The video's long gone. You know, since you're still here, you might as well like and subscribe. So, go do it right now. Peace.